Good evening and welcome to Season where the platform where we speak truth to power. This evening, I felt the need to really touch on this. Shewon Kibale is going to touch on the judgment that's due to come out on Wednesday evening. The judgment on the presidential case. Let's have a listen to what Shewon Kibale would say on this one. Let's have a listen. Here we go.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. But the much anticipated verdict of the Presidential Election Petition Court, the PEPT, is expected to be delivered on Wednesday, that 6th of September, 2023. The Court of Appeal Registrar, Mr. Omar Bangari, confirmed this to Channels Television earlier today. But there was an official communication to the public of what will be of the proceedings that will now be open.
Courtesy of Channels TV, of course, Channels TV. Thank you.
For live broadcast by interested television stations. The Channel Television will be live on the grounds of
So it's going to be
the
covered
Court of
live.
Appeal to give you
Court of Appeal.
every of the inch of activity that is happening there. In that letter, of course, the Court of Appeal says it wishes to inform the general public a judgment in the following petitions, of course, which we now know as appears on your screen, will be delivered on the 6th of September, 2023. Of course, in the last few days, there's so many issues in respect of what is happening in the country and the state of affairs of our nation. Tonight, I'm being joined by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, who is live for us in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for being with us on the program tonight.
Interesting topic.
Thank you, Sean. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Give me one moment, because we understand that later tonight, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu will be departing for New Delhi in India to attend the G20 Leaders Summit. The President is attending a two-day summit on the special invitation of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There has been a statement from the presidency in that respect. In the middle of all of this is the judgment that will happen on Wednesday, a planned protest by the NLC on Tuesday and Wednesday. What exactly is going on? What is the benefit of these? Mr. Falana, please pardon me. Give me some few moments. Let's get to hear from the presidency what the plan of President Bola Tinubu is in India. What do Nigerians stand to gain in the G20 summit? Is this going to be one of those talking shops, or what are we to? What will it benefit Nigeria? Let me get to speak with Ajuri Ingilale, who is a special advisor and the official spokesperson of President Bola Tinubu. Hi, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, my brother.
All right. The president is going to travel tonight.
That's correct.
Nigeria is not a member of the G20. Are we hoping to join?
Let me say, Sean, that I do not want to preempt a process that is currently being undertaken, but what I can say concerning the potential membership of the G20 by the Federal Republic of Nigeria is that there are very wide and extensive consultations that are taking place within the government, assessing both the risks and benefits of potential G20 membership. And we stand very confident that if our government takes a consensus view that we should apply to become a member of the G20, that we have an excellent chance to be accepted.
Because there are those who believe that Nigeria missed an opportunity to join BRICS committee, and the fact that the likes of Egypt, South Africa, India, and the rest of them are part of it. And there is an emerging global business opportunity where there is an association somewhat try to play down on the dominance of the dollar over all of the kind of currency, or the prominence of other economies, the American economy on other economies. But what is the president thinking about this association and the benefit that it does have on Nigeria economy?
Well, let's first of all understand, Sheon, that when we're talking about the G20, you're talking about a body of nations that comprise 80% of global GDP, 75% of international trade, and housing over 60%.
But why is it that we missed the boat with BRICS? That's another question I wanted to ask. Why miss the boat on BRICS? Well, I mean, we cannot continue to rely on the dollar. And they're not answering that central question for me. That's a big concern, but let's carry on.
Of the global population. That is no small group to be a part of. If you refer to BRICS, we have no problem with BRICS. We have not applied to BRICS, contrary to false speculation out there. We have made no application to BRICS or the G20 as of today. But our consideration is based on empirical.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So there's been no application. Okay.
Empirical analysis. It's not based on sentiment or emotion. It's not based on whether or not the cool kids are going to a particular place or not. It's about whether or not it is going to serve the national interest and the national economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is the assessment we're making now. With the numbers I've just cited with respect to the G20, I think it becomes fairly obvious the benefits of a potential membership of the G20. We're still studying. It is noteworthy that we are being invited with a special invitation by the host nation, India, to be part of this. But look, we want to be clear with our people that this is not just about theatrics or, some sort of a cosmetic view of geopolitics. This is about a black and white pursuit of investment to ensure that we can put our people to work in country. Now, I want to be clear about how we're going to do that. What shall Nigeria benefit from the presence of President Bola Tinubu in New Delhi this week? First of all, you would recall that the president has, we stated this in our press conference last week, as well as the press statement yesterday, but what we are going to be engaged in is a series of meetings with top CEOs across multiple sectors of the Indian economy, and these are individuals who we.
I think I have concerns about this myself personally, because that's not what we need. We need the fundamentals of our economy to be sound. That is to say, we take control of our naira, we fix the refineries, and the rest, our people are industrial is enough. We don't need to go outside. This is just, I don't agree with this. I don't, but let's carry on.
We did not seek them out. We did not chase them. They came seeking audience with the president.
Well, they came because they're trying to see what they can take out of the country. Because our naira is worthless. Those of you watching, let me show you something. What you see there is the naira. Let me show you. I just want to show you. The naira, that's the naira. So when they're talking about any development, whatever, that's our naira, pound sterling. Naira, dollar. There's no difference. There's no difference. That must be addressed. But let's carry on.
Of Nigeria. So they're looking for us, and we are opening our door. That's number one. So he has some meetings on the sideline, one-on-one, with the chairman of the Adani Group, which is one of the wealthiest conglomerates in the entire Asian continent. He has a meeting with the CEO of Jindal Power and Steel Company, one of the largest steel development.
So where's Jalkuta Steel then? Can that be fixed ourselves? I have concerns about this. Where's Jalkuta Steel? I'm going to be asking really difficult questions. Yeah, I don't have a problem. I hope it works out. But we need to, whatever we're doing, we have to support ourselves from home, not going outside. I fundamentally disagree with this from that point of view, from that standpoint.
And power companies in Asia, they are interested in coming into Nigeria to deal with.
I keep telling you all, look at the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Stats don't lie. Look at that. Look at that. 1 naira is equivalent to 0.0013 of the dollar, and it's 0.0010 of the pound. Of course, they want to come in to make money. We're giving them our money. We're impoverishing our own people with our own policy. That's what we're doing. And we need to wake up.
Processing our iron ore into steel, and we all know that steel development is the bedrock of industrialization. There is a lot that is going to come out of this. Now, if separate from the one-on-one meetings, and that's just 2 that I've mentioned out of 5 with the big-time CEOs, we also have a large-scale CEO roundtable that is being hosted by President Bola Tinubu. This is a man who has a clear track record on this issue. It's not by accident that Lagos State, under his leadership, was able to attract all those factories and industries to Lagos. He knows how to attract investment. He knows how to actively pursue investment, and that's what he's doing now as president. With this CEO roundtable, you have 20 Indian CEOs sitting at the same table with approximately 20 Nigerian CEOs across multiple sectors of both economies, looking at how they can partner to bring value, to bring jobs, to bring more revenue generation to the Nigerian economy. This is the crux of what we're doing in New Delhi.
So these are investment opportunities.
They are
possibly
absolutely
mid-term measures. What are possibly the low-hanging fruit that Nigeria could get immediately from this summit or this attendance by President Bola Tinubu?
Well, the beauty of the approach of the president, he handles investors with the same open door that he handles, politicians on political issues, with an open door. He is always going to ensure that each investor feels just as important as the next one. There's no prioritization there in terms of how he's going to favor one over the other. He's going to make sure that everybody has equal access to him and equal opportunity. The reason why that's important is because he's not a delegator by nature, because he is by nature somebody who is able to both macro manage and micromanage. He has the capacity to bring them in. He knows what the issues are in the country as a long time subnational leader.
So my question will be,
if I could just land this point real quick, is that because he's been a subnational administrator, he knows that at all tiers, whether it's federal or subnational, those areas where the shoe is pinching the foot of investors. So when he brings them into the room in India or anywhere else in the world where he's pursuing the investment, he can give them the assurance that they have presidential power behind them, the power of the legislature to amend the laws where required, the power of the tax authorities and the regulatory authorities to make whatever amendments are needed to bring those investments into Nigeria, to employ our young people and expand our tax net. And that is the focus.
So my question directly is, if the president is coming back home, just like you as a father will travel and your children will be asking for what you are bringing in the immediate, as he's descending the aircraft back into Nigeria later this week, what do you think or what do you know are the low-hanging fruit? So, and I try to pin down my question to the fact that, is he focusing more on power generation? Is he looking at investment in the oil and gas? Is he looking for loans? Is he looking for direct foreign direct investment of now, just like the NNPCL went and asked the Afro-Exim Bank to give us $30 billion US dollar, $3 billion US dollar that is.
Right.
What exactly can we put our finger on?
It's a great question, Shion. So specifically, if you're asking about the sectors, he's not focused on just one sector or the other. He's focused on multiple sectors. And to be specific, one of the meetings that he's having is with the chairman of Goa Shipyards in India, one of their major shipyard ship manufacturers. We believe that there's a huge opportunity in the country, within Nigeria, to employ hundreds of thousands of our young people building ships across our coastal communities. That's not just in Lagos, that's not just in Ondo, that's also across the Niger Delta. We believe that we have the facilities, we have the technological know-how and educated youthful population that can take up
do it. You don't need to
those
bring any other
opportunities.
company in.
That's on the one hand. On the other hand, he's meeting with the president of South Korea. We haven't even talked about the bilateral meetings. We've only talked about business. He's meeting with the president of South Korea, President Yeo, who is going to be involved in, already we've struck deals with Daewoo, a major South Korean conglomerate, for the reconstruction that's ongoing as we speak of Warri and Kaduna refineries in the country. We believe that there are more opportunities in terms of value additive
Warri and Kaduna refineries. That's good. But we still have to put pressure.
Particularly within the Niger Delta, within the oil and gas industry. As it is right now, we pay out our joint venture partners with NNPC.
But we can't do this ourselves, because every time you bring in a foreigner, somebody's going to be taking money on the backhand. And we don't want that. We can do this ourselves back home and using our expertise at home. Anyway, yeah.
are paying out tens of billions of dollars to build, floating and production storage unit facilities on the shores of South Korea, on the shores of Singapore, on the shores of Japan. And what we're saying under the leadership of President Tinubu is saying, no, we shouldn't be using Nigerian dollars or Nigerian foreign exchange to go and be producing these things elsewhere when we can be employing our own people and keeping that wealth in country. So the conversation we're having with the South Korean president is around how we can maximize the localization of all of the various value chains within the oil and gas industry from start to finish. Without us having to go overseas. And that's why when former President Muhammadu Buhari built Nigerian oil and gas parks, it's the no-gap scheme. He built out these oil and gas parks where industries such as Samsung and many others can come into the country, have ready-made facilities, industrial layouts where they can come and be able to employ Nigerian young people, use Nigerian steel as we get Ajeokuta working again, and all of that, to be able to manufacture those infrastructural supplements to the oil and gas rigs and the oil and gas infrastructure. This is the future of the Nigerian economy, keeping the value in country and negotiating effectively with other heads of state and other business leaders from around the world to ensure that they bring that value in exchange for things like tax reliefs, in exchange for things like import waivers on semi-finished products, etc. There's so much that can be done. Fortunately, we now have a business-minded, financial engineering president in the name of the person of President Bola Tinubu.
So we're hoping that President Bola Tinubu will go strike deals, different deals, and multi-layer in terms of bilateral, in terms of foreign investment opportunities, and these are the issues that are coming to bear. But now, as the president is going, he's leaving with his ministers. How many are they?
The ministerial list for those traveling, I believe, is not more than 6. It's actually very lean. You might recall that in, I believe, early last week or just at the end of the week before, we released a presidential statement on the massive cut down on the entourage to the UN General Assembly this year. The president has put embargoes on visa processing of any Nigerian government official at any level who does not have a direct participation in the activities of the UN General Assembly. The reason why is obviously it has to do with cutting the cost of governance and cutting waste, but it also has to do with the fact that if you don't have business within the official schedule of activities of the events where Mr. President is engaging, then he doesn't want you hanging around. He wants the people who have business there. So we only have about 6 ministers going. And even there's been a bit of a hoopla in the press about some of the CEOs that are going, Nigerian industrialists. Yeah, that's right, business persons. I want to be clear on this program that the CEOs that are going in their own planes. They're going on their own dimes. Many of them have already gone ahead. Some are going to go tomorrow, even though the president's leaving tonight. They will house themselves. The opportunity the president is providing them for the sake of the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian taxpayer and the Nigerian worker is that he wants to create a handshake between our industrialists and theirs so that we can create maximum value at home. And that's done through partnership. The president believes that his governing style of teamwork and partnership and private sector and public-private partnership is the same way that you're able to create private sector success, ensuring that government plays the enabling role without playing a too dominant of a role in the economy. And I believe that when we come back, we will have some announcements to make that will justify our presence at the G20.
Is the president worried that the tribunal judgment might be against him when he leaves the country, because the judgment will be on Wednesday?
The president,
is he thinking about that?
Unlike some political gladiators in the country, the president sees no need to threaten judicial officers. He sees no need to raise speculation against the integrity of judicial officers. He believes in the sanctity, in the integrity of the Nigerian judicial system. He believes that the great men and women on the panel will make their decisions based only on the facts before them and not based on anything else. And as a result of his faith and confidence in the judiciary, he believes that the mandate which Nigerians freely gave to him during the elections will stand. And that is the position of the president. And he will continue to ensure that no matter what the outcome of the judgment is, that he does his part to ensure that our institutions continue to be respected, not just by him, but
So he's
by
not worried.
all actors.
He's not worried that it could go either way. I mean, it could be anything. It might be on his side. It might be against him. He's not worried about that.
He's not worried simply because he knows he won the election. If you look at the strongholds
But you might win the election, and the judgment of court might not be in your favor.
Well, we believe that we have presented the best case. We believe that we have the evidence on our side. We believe that we have the most talented legal team in the country that is working with the best facts available to any candidate. The fact is we won in more places across all geopolitical spreads with the right numbers in the right way. And when that happens, when the APC lost its strongholds, for example, in Lagos, in President Buhari's Katsina, and many other places, no one said that those elections were rigged. So what we are saying is where we won, people shouldn't also say it was rigged. And we believe that the facts before the judges are such that they will take the decision that is in accordance with the facts on the ground and not in accordance with any other baseless speculation.
Does it bother him also that people are worried? There is a lot of pressure being put on the judiciary. Why are people thinking that the judiciary might be influenced under the president's watch?
Well, you understand, Sheum, better than anyone as a moderator of a political program over the years that there has really never been an election in our country, in the history of our country, certainly not within the Fourth Republic, that had not been contested in court, that had not had some level of litigation, some level of accusation as to what happened. Well, in 2015, in 2015, you still had smaller parties contesting. It may not have been President Jonathan, but there was still contestation. So what we are saying is that where you have that culture of contestation, the culture of winner take all, the culture of I cannot lose, this is going to persist. But our concern is not about any of that. Our concern is making sure that the judiciary is in a position to make an independent decision based on only the merits of the case and nothing else.
Let's anchor on this note. Another thing that will be happening in the president's absence is the fact that Labour is unhappy with the handling of the president's the aftershocks of the removal of subsidy, and they say they're going on the 2-day warning strike. Imagining that the president is leaving the country in that state, is it right?
Sheon, it's a worthy question, and my response is that let's understand that we should delineate between the organized labor movement at large and the Nigeria Labor Congress (NLC) as an entity. The TUC, the Trade Union Congress, has come out to say that they do not agree with the position of the NLC as it relates to this warning strike. That's number one. That's because they were in the same room with as the NLC was with the federal government. They know what's involved. They know what was promised, and they are of the belief that the federal government will live up to its end of the bargain, and we will. The NLC has taken a different position. What I have said, and my final word on this, is that on a week in which a presidential election tribunal judgment is going to be rendered, where you have political gladiators, some of which were openly lobbied for by the Nigeria Labor Congress, for example. We are saying that Nigerians can see through political conspiracies, and we are saying that it is in the interest of organized labor to protect its credibility by ensuring that they take their decisions not based on politics, but on the basis of what they know is right for the country.
Ajuri Ingilale is the official spokesperson of President Bola Tinubu and a special advisor to the president on media and public affairs. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Pleasure to be with you, Shane. Thank you.
And safe trip to India, hoping that Nigerians will get the benefit of the trip. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.
Let's go to our Lagos studio where Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Fenfalana, has been with us. Thank you so much indeed. Let us sit for your time tonight. Give us your view. I mean, it's a momentous legal event, isn't it? When the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal will be sitting tomorrow. What are your thoughts about the happenings around it, the pressure on the judiciary, and some of the issues that have been raised?
You mean on Wednesday, not tomorrow?
Wednesday, rather. Apologies. Yeah.
Well, we've been having election petitions since the colonial era. But none has attracted such level of blackmail and intimidation of the judiciary. Just last Friday, we were at a program in Abuja together where I addressed the labor unions. Some dubious characters got a copy of the video cassette and they put on top in a very criminal manner that if the judiciary fails the Nigerian people, there should be a coup. As if I said that only a deranged mind could have concocted such a treasonable statement. Now, that is the kind of intimidation that is going on. And I am worried. You know, that people give the impression that everything ends with the judgment of the Court of Appeal, the Presidential Election Tribunal. Any party that loses on Wednesday still has the opportunity to appeal to the Supreme Court. And so why? What is the basis of the cheap blackmail that is going on? And I want to pitch
this time around. Since this is not the first time, Mr. Falano,
yes.
Why is it now that people are having this skepticism and this kind of the outrage against the judiciary? Why?
No, some of the people involved are voting for the first time, and they believe, rightly or wrongly, that their candidate must be declared the winner. And I think that is what is going on. Whether you like it or not, our candidate must be declared the winner. And that is not what election petition tribunals are all about. It is for them, the justices, to look at the evidence adduced by the parties, apply the law, and give a decision. As they say, even if the heavens will fall, and the heavens won't fall anyway, the judges must not be intimidated. They must give their decisions, regardless of blackmail or intimidation. Convinced that they can justify their judgment. That is what is required by them. To examine the evidence, apply the law, and deliver a decision. One way or the other. Some will win, some will lose. But those who lose, in the case, who are aggrieved, will have another opportunity to approach the Supreme Court and demonstrate how the Court of Appeal has erred.
So, I mean, where do we go from here? Does the judiciary need to do anything in this respect when these kind of issues are being raised by some segment of the populace?
No, I think the judiciary has been extremely careful not to join issues with those who have threatened, intimidated, or blackmailed judges. I mean, in some other clime, in Ghana, for instance, the law of content will have been applied. So I think our judges have been quite mature, and they must take their maturity to their decision, must apply the maturity to their decision by scrutinizing the evidence laid before them, apply the law, electoral law of our country, and ensure that they come out with a decision they can defend. That's all. Again, as I said, whoever is deciding.
This is a very critical moment in this deliberations. Wednesday is going to be a very key day. Hope the judges are truly independent. Hope, whatever judgment people adhere to, and hope the judgment is reached at a very, very, has been arrived at in a true and fair manner, without any, So yeah. Anyway.
Satisfied on Wednesday, we have the opportunity to go to the Court of Appeal. It can be either way. I mean, election petition tribunals have delivered judgments in this country. And sometimes those you think you win, lost. And for me, I want to appeal to Nigerians to allow the due process of law to take its course.
I mean, what if there is one thing, Mr. Falano, after the 2023 election, going into the election tribunal, that you think, after all said and done, should be fixed in our electoral law and jurisprudence, what would that be?
Well, for me, I have advocated this publicly. Once the election petitions are concluded, we certainly will have to go back to the drawing table and perhaps turn our attention to some other African countries. For instance, in majority of African countries, election petitions of a presidential nature, the presidential election petitions are concluded within 14 days. That is an area we have to review. We have to look at. And in order to fast track the decisions of our election petition tribunal, we will need to embrace technology completely. The accreditation of voters through the Beavers machine will have to be perfected, and election results will have to be uploaded and transmitted to the central server of the electoral body, whether it's INEC or state electoral commissions, that conduct the worst elections in Africa, where all the candidates of the ruling party, the chairmanship candidates and the councillorship candidates, must be won. The seats must be won by the ruling party in every state in Nigeria. So we must embrace technology like other African countries, so that our election will be devoid of rancor, as it is the case now. For me, those are issues we'll have to take to the drawing table. Now, the other issue is the question of the appointment of the management staff of our electoral bodies. The West panel had recommended, the Justice Muhammad West panel had recommended that electoral chiefs be appointed by advertisement. And at the end of the day, those who are shortlisted will be sent to the National Judicial Council that will interview them and recommend the best candidates to the president, who would then take the names to the to the Senate. Again, we have to look at that. So that the allegations
let's take a breather quickly, Mr. Fala. Yeah? Okay.
The allegations of partiality, will be eliminated or reduced substantially.
Let's take a breather, Mr. Falano. And when we come to the dollarization of the Nigerian economy, one issue that you have talked about severally, the issue of the swap, the currency swap, and what we are doing in terms of investment and how the rule of law is being neglected in many cases. The CBN Act that has provided on how some of these things should be operated. Yes. We'll be looking at some of these issues after the break. You're going to stay with us on the program. Let's get back to the conversation. Mr. Femi Falana, rights activist, senior advocate of Nigeria, is in our Lagos studio speaking with us on some of the very crucial matters bordering on the state of the nation. Thank you so much, Mr. Falano, for your time tonight. The president is off to India later tonight. And when we wonder, the BRICS Commission is there. We've seen some new entrants into that association, and now we're having the president being invited by the Indian president. You heard what Mr. Ngilali, the president's spokesperson, said about what the president plans to do. But for you, what would you say should be the priority of Nigeria leader as of today?
He's going to... San Falano is asking a serious questions, and he's giving really cogent answers in terms of these impending results. We need to let's watch what's going to be happening over there on Wednesday. It's going to be telling. We're going to be covering it on Citizenwa and Oduduwasibi as well. We will do. Okay.
You mean in terms of the trip? What to expect from India?
In terms of the trip, absolutely, yes. In the deliverable, the benefit to Nigerians.
For me, I think the delegation led by the president, and I'm talking of the official delegation, will have to address the crisis inflicted on the country by the IMF and World Bank that are desperate to have Nigeria run as a peripheral capitalist system country. So
this is it.
We must get out of the dominance of the dollar.
Exactly.
The domination of our economy by the dollar.
Yes. Yes. I
agree.
agree.
The president will be required to engage the Indian government, his colleague in India, the Prime Minister Modi, to see what can be done by way of a currency swap between India and Nigeria. Just last week, early last week, India bought crude oil to the tune of about $1 billion from UAE, imported crude oil worth $1 billion. India paid rupees, its own currency. And that is what the BRICS, members of the BRICS, have introduced to the global economy, i.e. that you can trade in your own currencies. And for me, that is an area the president will have to address in India. It's so crucial. India also buys our oil. Even if you don't want to go to the radical extent of saying, buy my oil and pay in naira, but you can still insist, you can still have an arrangement whereby you can avoid trading in dollars.
Exactly.
That is what some countries are doing. And some of them are in the G20. And happily, the Western countries, I read the position of the United States yesterday and Germany, that we're not opposed to the BRICS. We're not opposed to countries trading among themselves in their own currencies. So we should take advantage of this trip. The president should take advantage of the trip to enter into a currency swap with India. Because India has a India has the largest population in the world today. We must also learn from how India has been able to.
Oh, there's a short interruption there. We're hoping that he will be connected back.
It seems that we're getting some interferences with the microphone with Mr. Falano, but of course I know that our engineers are on top of that. I mean, you have said it, not only the fact that it does make some economic or it does make some sense, common sense that is, to do that, but also is the fact that in Nigeria, and one of the issues that you have raised in the past is the fact that using dollar at every point that is that we find is something that you have referred to as an illegal scenario,
Yes.
And perhaps one thing that the Bola Tinubu government needs to pay attention to, isn't it?
Yes, because you mentioned the rule of law. The rule of law is total. It means compliance with the Constitution and the provisions of other extant laws, including the Central Bank
of
Act.
Nigeria, Central Bank Act, yes.
Section 20 of the Central Bank Act has
Yep.
criminalized,
Mm-hmm.
transacting any business in any foreign currency in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
So you cannot spend dollars in Nigeria.
Exactly.
To
I've been
purchase
talking about this.
houses, to collect rents, school fees, even
Hotels.
government, some of the agencies of the government, like, customs, NIMASA, MPA, and the rest of them, charge dollars for services
Crazy.
rendered by the government. This is
Insane.
unacceptable.
Insane.
And that is why
Wrong.
there is so much pressure on the dollar. And that is why our economy tied
To the
to
dollar.
the dollar.
Exactly.
It's a crisis.
It
And we
is.
must arrest
Huge
the ugly
crisis.
development, the dangerous development. And showing all this, no government official, no official of the central bank has challenged the fact that between Nigeria and China, we have a currency swap,
Yeah.
a currency swap agreement that is valid and subsisting. But contrary to that agreement, and to the detriment of the economy, imports from India, China last year, were valued at $22 billion. All that should have been paid for in naira as opposed to dollars. So the central bank officials will have to be called to order by the regime, by the Bola Tinubu administration, to save the naira, to strengthen the naira by ensuring that nobody, including airlines operating in Nigeria, no organization, no individual is allowed to spend dollars in Nigeria or any other foreign currency.
Exactly.
Apart from China, the central bank entered into an agreement with the Central Bank of China to defer that Nigerians will spend dollars and naira will buy goods in naira in your country. For your own business in Nigeria, you will transact your business in Nigeria in yuan. So that's an agreement. And so we must take advantage of that agreement.
Yeah. Let me get your view quickly on the issue of the rule of law. What is happening with Emefiele? Mr. Bawa, the suspended EFCC chairman, and those who have raised questions as to how the Bola Tinubu government had handled some of these legal matters. As a senior lawyer in the country, your very good friend, Mr. Fagbemi, is the Attorney General of the Federation. What are your views as to the role of the DSS, the continued detention of Mr. Bawa, the EFCC chairman, some of the allegations or the charges against Mr. Emefiele, and some of the scenario of how they handle the state of affairs when they were in office?
Well, I have advised the government publicly that no citizen should be detained without trial. And if you have no evidence against any citizen in detention, you must release him or her. I've made that statement with respect to Mr. Emefiele and Bawa. But left for majority of Nigerians, we should just leave them on the ground that when they were in power, when they had the opportunity to comply with court orders, they treated them with contempt. I'm sure you could recall the currency notes, the design of the currency note, whereby on February 8th last year, the Supreme Court gave a judgment, which the central bank not only disregarded, but came out to say, we ain't going to comply with the judgment of the Supreme Court. No institution since 1914 has been so bold and irresponsible to say we are not going to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. That happened. But notwithstanding such acts of executive lawlessness, the state must operate at a higher pedestal by ensuring that court orders are obeyed, that the rule of law, that the government operates under the rule of law, because the government rules by law. And so I have the Attorney General, the new Attorney General, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, said, unlike the previous Attorney General, immediate past Attorney General, Mr. Malami Abubakar, who said publicly, we're not going to obey all court orders in the interest of national security. But Mr. Fagbemi has said, we are going to ensure that the government, this government, operates under the rule of law. So we had a meeting with the National Human Rights Commission, and we have agreed that all judgments of courts that are not being obeyed be compiled so that they can be sent to the office of the Attorney General with a view to ensuring compliance with them. And that is how to run a government that is anchored under the rule of law.
All right, Mr. Falana, let's anchor on this point. The Nigerian Labour Congress says is going on a 2-day warning strike. The DSS had also come out to say there are plans for disruption of the peace in the country. There was a statement from the DSS in that respect. And are those who will say, I mean, you heard what the spokesperson of the president has said in respect of the manner in which NLC had conducted itself. Now, the president is going off to India. This issue of the subsidy is really causing a lot of political governance issue. How do you think the Bola Tinubu government should handle this? The pain and the plight of Nigerians are there, which is germane in all of these issues.
You see, unfortunately, we're at this stage again. For the past 2 months, the government and Labour, 2 months ago, the government and Labour embraced dialogue. Unfortunately, except where there is a threat to strike, the body set up by the government has never really come up with any solutions, or rather, for instance, the government had agreed to increase the national minimum wage because of the crisis caused by removal of fuel subsidy. And the government has also agreed to address many areas up to today. And I'm not talking of the federal government alone. The state governments are all involved in ensuring that these challenges in the country, facing workers and facing other citizens who are disadvantaged, are addressed. The government has announced palliatives of 5 billion naira per state in the majority of the states. Apart from that announcement, nothing has gone to the people. So people are complaining. And the labor movement has taken it upon itself, long before now, to defend the interests of Nigerian workers and the generality of our people. The challenge before the government is to continue the discussions, rather belated discussions, started today. And I expect the government to have a sleepless night to work out an arrangement, call governors, the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and call all the relevant stakeholders to have this matter addressed today, tonight.
I don't hold that much hope, though.
But threatening or saying that you are going to have a breach of the peace, I beg your pardon. What peace are you talking about? the piece of the graveyard for the majority of our oppressed people. It's the piece of the graveyard.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the labor leaders are not going on protests on the street. There's no protests on the street this time around. So the question will say, oh, some people are organizing protests, rallies to disrupt the peace of the country. It's not there. What is there? And
right.
the
So,
state
Falana,
security service must advise the government, address the problem that is leading to a strike. And that is the best way to handle this matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well
And it
said,
can be
Sam.
done tonight.
Thank you so much indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you
be
so
done
much,
tonight.
Leonard,
Thank
for
you.
your time tonight. Thank you so much. Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Human Rights Lawyer. Thank you so much indeed for your thoughts on these very critical issues. But that's how we'll wrap up the program.
So, there you go. So, Sam Femi Falana will give a detailed answer, touch on the de-dollarization that must happen, hoping that President Tinubu in the G20 meeting will discuss that at length and begin to take steps on it. The issue with the National Labour Congress, they need to sit down and iron that out. And the governors and everybody we need to make sure that the workers are paid. I mean, this is really, but we'll see what happens. We'll wait to see what happens. Before we go, all I would just like to say is before you go, don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to Season AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Help us subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. Help us with more people. One more time, subscribe to Season AY, hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. I'll be back later on. Thank you for watching. We'll give you further updates, and in the meantime, subscribe to Season AY, hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. Help us reach more people. For now, it's bye for now. Bye. Thank you. Bye for now.